Hey folks, how's it going out there? So if you're someone like me who's just getting started with your productivity journey, then today's book summary is going to be super useful for you. Let's get started. Hey folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Praveen Ramesh. In this channel, I speak about non-fiction books and lessons that I'm personally learning and implementing by reading these books. I find it immensely useful. I hope you do too. As I said at the start, I've been pretty new, and I would call myself a very amateur in this productivity space. And I've been reading a ton of resources, watching a lot of videos, reading blogs to kind of equip myself with all the right productivity hacks, tips, and tricks. And by far the best resource that I've consumed till now is book that we are going to be speaking about today, called The Make Time by Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky. Right, so it's an amazing book, especially if you're someone who's getting started with the productivity journey. And the reason I say this, because all throughout the book, both the authors never say about, hey, this is the right way to be productive, or this is what you need to be doing to, let's say, stay on top of your productivity game. What they rather do is give you a buffet of options across various things that stop from being productive, so that you can pick and choose things that work for you, right? So here is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be speaking about probably 20 lessons that I am personally implementing, or 20 lessons that I took away, and I'm going to be doing this video in two parts, right? So the part one is probably going to be covering about identifying what keeps us busy and getting things done. So these are the two things that I'm going to be covering in part one of this video, and the part two of this video is going to be covering about dealing with distractions and how a diet and sleep plays a big role in you being productive. So this is going to be a two-part video. So if you're watching this one, make sure you watch the other one to get the complete context, right? And just a quick disclaimer before we start the video: this summarization, or the lessons that I'm speaking about, is not a substitute for you reading the book. So I would highly recommend you pick up this amazing book, probably one of the few books that is life-changing, right? One thing that stops you from being productive, the author says, is two things that stop you from being productive, right? The first one, that's gonna be our lesson number one, is the busy bandwagon and the infinity pool, right? So what's a busy bandwagon and an infinity pool? So infinity pool is basically all these apps that give you something new every time you refresh. So think of Twitter, Facebook, or any app that gives you something new each time you refresh, right? So without your knowledge, you're just scrolling and just scrolling or refreshing every time, hope to find something new. And before you've probably spent 60, 90, or 120 minutes or 2 hours just in a hope that you find something new. So that's the infinity pool. And the second thing is the busy bandwagon. Think of all the channels through which you get your notifications, right? Think of all the messages, think of all the iMessages, WhatsApp, emails, Slack messages, and things like that. So basically these two things always give you a perception that you're busy and you're getting things done, but in reality these are the two main culprits that stop you from being productive. So the moment I realized this was mind-blowing for me, because since I knew that, okay, what is infinity pool, what is the busy bandwagon, I've actively started tracking, hey, how much time am I spending actually doing the work, and actually getting anxious about, hey, am I having any work, or am I discovering something new? So that was my first lesson. So identify where you're getting stuck, either with infinity pool or the busy bandwagon, right? The second aspect, again, I've made a separate video because this deserves a separate video, is choosing a highlight of the day, right? So how do you protect yourself from these infinity pools and busy bandwagons, right? Is by having a highlight of the day. So I've made a separate video. So that's my lesson number two, is choosing a highlight of the day, for which I've made a separate video. I've linked it probably here or in the comments. I'll let you know once the edit is done on where this is being linked, right? So the third thing, right? Choose your highlight of the day based on satisfaction, joy, and urgency. I've made a ton of notes, so I'm just going to be looking into it once in a while, right? So the third lesson is, the second lesson was just choosing a highlight, but how should your highlight look, right? We all understand that each day is not the same. So choose your highlight of the day on which gives you joy, satisfaction, and sometimes which is based on urgency, right? So just to give you a quick reminder, highlight of the day is the one that kind of the act for which you protect your time very actively. So for me, it's filming this video. So let's say my highlight of the day is gonna be about filming this video. I'm gonna block out like, let's say 90 minutes just to film 3 or 4 videos, and I'm not gonna schedule. I've switched off my notifications, I've put my phone on airplane mode, and I've ensured that I don't have access to any digital devices around me, so that I focus and shoot this video. So that's my lesson number 3, right? Choose a highlight that gives you joy, satisfaction, and urgency. Let's go to lesson number 4, right? So let's say if you have a very big project, so you might come back and ask me, hey Praveen, how do I choose a highlight of the day? The thing is very simple, right? So you break down your tasks into multiple milestones and choose your highlight of the day, again by the framework that we discussed in lesson number 3. So this is what the author calls, which is our lesson number 4, is do yesterday again. Right? So if you have a big project that's coming up either at work or a personal project that you've been working on that you're passionate about, break this down into multiple things and try to do yesterday again. That's our lesson number 4. So let's move to lesson number 5, right? So we are gonna currently we're speaking about how getting things done. So lesson number 5 is something that I am a very something that I have personally implemented a lot. I spoke about this in one of the videos about hacks that I'm personally embracing as a productivity noob or productivity starter, is bundle up similar kind of tasks, right? This is what few of the folks call as batching. So the reason you could be bundling up tasks is, one, it helps you get into a flow, and secondly, you're not thinking, okay, while you're doing this, oh my god, I need to do something else. Example of batching. For me personally, I check emails for probably the first thing I walk into the office. I take 30-45 minutes to just check all my emails, reply to them, and after that, the last thing before I leave the office, I reply to all the emails and come back, right? Probably shooting these videos. So I dedicate like 3 hours every week to shoot and write scripts, and I don't do anything else. So if I'm sitting and writing scripts, I write 3 or 4 scripts at one go. If I'm shooting videos, I shoot 3 or 4 videos at one go. So group similar kind of tasks together and then get them done. So lesson number 6. Again, something that we discussed before about protecting your time for the highlight of the day. Have a do not schedule time on your calendar, right? So that's my lesson number 6. So what are you gonna be doing? So let's say if you're working on your highlight of the day, and if you're someone like me who likes to kind of stick to a schedule every day, for example, for me, morning 6 to 9 is my do not schedule time. What it allows you to do is allows you to work on things that you are passionate about, that you want to do, or things that give you energy, right? So that's my lesson number 6. Have a do not schedule time where you're working on things that you want to work and you're not pulled by busy bandwagons and infinity pools. Let's go to lesson number 7. Right, so the author again speaks about having tasks in 4 quadrants. I don't know if I'm making sense with this quadrant, but these 4 quadrants where you have a to-do list, a burner list, and a my to-do list, right? So basically between these 3 quadrants the tasks keep moving, right? So if you think that, okay, hey, you don't have the bandwidth to do something, you move them to the burner. You might have some things in the my to-do list that might either move to the burner or the to-do list, and the to-do list is basically will consist of your highlights and all the accompanying tasks that will give you joy, satisfaction, and solve for the urgency factor in your highlight. So that's lesson number 7. Group all your tasks. Whenever you feel that you're overwhelmed, group your tasks into 3 things: to do, my to do, and the burner list, right? So that's my lesson number 7. Lesson number 8. Be proactive about protecting your time. Again, I think we have spoken about this enough already. This is my lesson number 8, but I think we have repeated it 3 times. You would realize that how important it is to protect your time proactively to finish your highlight of the day, right? So do not schedule anything else around that time. Do things that give you joy and ensure that you proactively protect it, right? So let's say if evening 4 to 6 is the time that you work on your highlight of the day, no personal commitments, no official commitments, no social commitments and things like that, and you're just working on highlight of your day that gives you the satisfaction of, okay, you know what, I've done enough for the day, right? Which brings me to the next point of lesson number 9, which is something that I am personally struggling a lot. Don't try to add a lot of things to your to-do list once you complete your highlight, right? So there are days when you're perfectly in your zone, there are days that are off, right? So for example, today I feel like I'm very happy, I'm delivering well. So let's say if I end up shooting 3 videos, I shouldn't be pushing myself to say, hey, let me shoot 1 more, because I just feel like I'm in the zone. Or let's say if there might be days where you're pushing yourself or you're not happy with though you have completed your highlight of the day, you feel like, okay, let me just push a wee bit to complete one more thing, right? The author says, once you have completed the highlight of the day and you have completed your other to-do lists, just be happy with it and not try to stuff in more things, right? So here is an example of where this happens, right? So there are days in my office where I finish work by 5:30 or 6 in the evening, and I feel like, oh my god, okay, maybe I'll work for 1 more hour to get things done. Eventually, this behavior repeated over time leads to a burnout. So if you've completed your highlight of the day and you've done enough to do for the list, be happy with it and just get done with your day and move on to whatever gives you joy, happiness and satisfaction, because ultimately productivity is about you being happy and not getting more done, right? So this was my lesson number 9. The rest 11 we will be covering in part 2 of this video. So if you have watched this, do ensure that you watch the part 2 of this video as well. Until then, this is Praveen Ramesh signing off.